Hello. Yes, I am literally sitting on the floor to record this because I feel like it, I guess. This title is not here for clickbait. Yesterday was a holiday or a day that I personally had not heard of, and I believe it came from the United Nations, but it was International Day for Persons, not to be confused with people, by the way, persons with disabilities. And, coupled with kind of the goings on in the world right now and some experiences I've had over the last several years and some experiences that I continue to have, I just want to be really real about being disabled for a minute. Because I don't have a choice. I've been legally blind since being born at 26 weeks. And for me, it's fine. I live this way every single day. I have adapted. I can read Braille. I can use a white cane. There are a lot of adaptations now with technology that allow me to do my job, to make videos like this. There are things that have allowed me to live a quality of life that had I been born, 20 years ago, or not 20 years ago, but 20 years, earlier than I was, or later, longer back in history, I would have had no chance of really being able to do these things in the same way. And at the same time, I have been discriminated against in the workplace. I have essentially been forced out of jobs because they knew they couldn't fire me for ADA reasons, and so they just made lots of other things really complicated and or refused to do right by disability. And I'm watching a really close friend of mine continue to fight and work through some of those challenges at a place I also worked at. And it's really frustrating to see that for as far along as we are in our society right now, that there's still so much trepidation, fear, and kind of an unwillingness for people to understand disability and the complexities it comes with, but also the fact that we are human. And I want to talk about that a little bit because fear I understand, right? If you have no reason to learn about me, right? If you've never met a blind person and you meet me, my goal would be to hope that you meet me as a person and the blind part of it comes into play, as we get to know each other. But the reality is that you probably see blind first, whether it's because I use a cane, read Braille, don't make good eye contact. There are so many things that give me away. And again, society's gonna look at those things first. And it doesn't matter if we wanna think we're progressive, it doesn't matter, the spaces that I inhibit and inhabit, not inhibit, that's a separate thing. It's just the reality that people are gonna look at disability first. And, if I don't have my cane and I'm standing in one spot, people sometimes don't realize that I'm blind. There are people that I work with every day who are in wheelchairs, who have, mobility impairments, who have speech impediments, who have cognitive disabilities that they cannot hide. Therefore, society treats them arguably more with pity, with, kind of a will to ignore them. And even the place where I work, I think, has a long way to go in terms of doing support in a person-centered way that really maintains someone's dignity. And it's something that we are working on and that I work on every day with the people that I work with, because the most important thing to me about people with disabilities is that first word, people. And disability is going to affect things, right? So for example, for me, it affects my ability to read. I cannot read print fluently. It affects my ability to interpret the world around me. I cannot read a situation visually and assess for my own personal safety based on my eyesight. It affects my ability to make informed, equitable decisions for myself when it comes to legal matters, work documents, paperwork, interfacing with things like taxes. And that's just a reality, right? Disability affects almost every facet of my life, but I am also still a person who likes to take care of plants, who enjoys playing video games, who wants to find ways to make the world more accessible through the work that I do, the people I interact with, the videos I create, like this one. And honestly, for me, it's just really grounding and something I struggle with sometimes, where I live in a city that's world-renowned for the Mayo Clinic and medicine and the best that there is in the world. And I really respect the doctors, the nurses, the folks who work here to better the lives of other people, while at the same time realizing and occasionally having to challenge people and articulate the fact that medicine does not solve everything. Vision does not just get cured because you want it to. And that's a really hard thing to say, and probably arguably a harder thing to hear, but it's real. And one of the things that we do not do enough is sit down and be honest and have open, just candid conversation about disability. And the word can't is not always just, oh, you're limiting yourself and you're not doing enough. Sometimes it's like, hey, that's a hard no. I can't do that. I can't drive a car legally. I can't go get a job that a lot of other people can just go grab for no reason. I can't do that. My process is going to look different. I may still be able to get the job. It's just going to take a lot of different approaches than you might use. And so sometimes I think there's an unwillingness to think about that by society. There's an unwillingness to understand that sometimes things are designed badly. Now, it doesn't mean it's intentionally designed badly, but if I bring up bad design, for example, not far from me, in my neighborhood, there is a bus shelter that is built directly into a sidewalk. Okay, like smack in the middle of the sidewalk, bus shelter. All right, like I don't know how to explain that. I was gonna do a visual, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to like talk with my hands. Bam, it's right in the middle. Is that the right? It's bam. You're hitting it. Bam. There's a video I should make, is why I can't do talking with my hands. Anyway, bus shelter in the middle of sidewalk, and amongst other complaints about the bus system, someone had brought up in a community group this bus shelter and was like, hey, what's going on with that? And all I did was comment something to the effect of, it's not great for blind people because it's right in the middle of the sidewalk. And somebody's first response was very indignantly yelling at me or saying like, don't you have one of those sticks? And I was like, yeah, I've been using one of those sticks called a white cane since I was 4 years old. Every day. It's something I'm used to. And he was like, well, you must not use it very well. And it's like, hey, the stick finds the bus shelter before my head does. And that's great. But what would be even better is if it didn't have to, because this was designed better. And I could not make this person, despite a few replies back and forth, I could not make this person understand this. And neither could some other people in the community who kind of chimed in. And what this told me wasn't that this guy was horrible. He was just an ornery dude who had some stuff to say, I guess. But it was more that when something really is designed poorly in society, whether that's a bus shelter, a website, the process of navigating our government, forced poverty put in place by systems like Social Security, when you voice these things, there is a immediate fear, and thus a shutting down, an outright dismissal, a denial, a redirection of that conversation away from some of these things. And I think it's time that we be more real about them. I get that this is rambly, this might not make sense, and I'm happy to go into further detail about these things at a later time. But as we kind of, had this day of persons with disabilities, I had to talk about this because it's not all bad. It's just something that needs to change, and it's something we need to talk about more. Thank you so much for checking this out. I really appreciate all the recent support on the channel. Subscribe for more, and I will see you all soon. Peace.